The date was the 23rd of September 2020. Auckland had just moved to lockdown level 2. I was out on my usual midweek run, and then this happened. I tripped and fell and gave myself a cardiac arrest. It was serious. So here I was in Auckland's intensive care unit. Most of my 5 children and families were shut out. How did we get to this point, where the immediate families weren't allowed to say goodbye to their dad? This story starts the year earlier, back in 2019. That's when the dreaded disease COVID-19 was threatening to wipe out 20% of the world's population. Back then, we were taken by surprise. Was this international crisis worse than the 1919 influenza pandemic? And that millions died. Then the news showed us pictures of ground being prepared for a massive Chinese hospital, dug by dozens and dozens of excavators. Then we saw footage of rows and rows of graves being laid out in Brazil and New York. They had me. This looked very, very serious. This documentary tells my story of these 5 years. A journey in which, at first, I fully supported a government that sensibly locked us down. But then followed conflicting promises and a final demand that we be injected with an experimental drug that had little scientific safety proof, or would lose our jobs. A year and a half later, this would affect my wife, who didn't want to take the jab. Her job was on the line.
Well, I still am not going to get vaccinated, so...
And at that exact same time, the interview was interrupted by a very agitated woman at the back door.
Someone come to our door, I don't know who it is.
She was clearly very concerned about the safety of her friend next door. But we'll get to that later. It was quite a roller coaster ride. On this day, the day before the first lockdown, the country was apprehensive and unsure. Could we really be on the edge of a cataclysm?
We have always said we would act early, decisively, and go hard, and we will. Non-essential businesses in New Zealand must now close. All bars, restaurants, cafes, cinemas, pools, museums, libraries, playgrounds must close their face-to-face function. Staying at home is essential. If you hang out with your friend at a park or see a family member for lunch, you risk spreading COVID-19 and extending the nation's time in level 4. Failure of anyone to play their part in coming days will put the lives of others at risk, and there will be no tolerance for that. We will not hesitate to use our enforcement powers if needed. I have one final message. Be kind. We will get through this together, but only if we stick together. So please be strong and be kind.
2 days ago, there were 6 workers in that building. They've all gone home. They've left a sign on the wall. Be kind. Our Prime Minister's plea later to become ironic. Still people in the town walking around. The local dairy will remain open, but there are strict rules.
Well, what's happening tomorrow? We're going on a lockdown, 4 weeks of lockdown. It's going to be 1 in, 1 out basis. It's something new. Nobody has done it up here before.
Looking back, it's hard to remember how we felt, the fear we felt, the expectation that people would literally fall over in the streets and die. Surely anything at all would be worth it to prevent that.
We can't wait.
My wife who worked as a community nurse for a private company, is immediately confronted with the need to gown and mask up. But where are the gowns?
This morning, the pandemic stock has just started to be released. There are 2,000 gowns on its way to us now, and I implore you, please use them wisely.
And they weren't the only ones short of masks and sanitizer.
You don't have masks and so forth?
Masks and sanitizers. We've got a few sanitizers, but in terms of masks and gloves, yeah, not much.
Notices on how to pick out the likely unclean were already posted. They're told to self-isolate in cars and phone in for remote consults.
A local cafe already closed down. I think they're allowed to be open today, but they're not. From tomorrow, all playground equipment will also be closed down.
This is day one of how we go about responding to level 4 of the COVID-19 response. Stay home to stay safe. Respect others. If we don't comply, the consequence of that is that people will die.
People watching.
Great. Going to be doing that for a while.
Well, first day's today, so yeah.
So how do you think it's going to be after 28 days?
I'm a bit lucky in terms of being able to do quite a lot of work from home. So I was also really heartened to see a note in our letterbox from a group of locals just offering support during the lockdown.
Right. Sharon's leaving for work. First day, day number 1 of the lockdown. She's got a problem because she only has 4 masks. Her boss is sending her more masks, but they haven't arrived yet. She is going to try to keep a distance from her patients. 2 metres is meant to be, but I don't know how you do a wound when there's 2 metres away. Obviously you've got to get closer than that. I suggested that she doesn't talk to the person and ask the person not to talk to her. Hopefully that might help. There's the rubbish collection outside at the moment, and I noticed the rubbish collectors have got masks on, and yet a frontline medical worker doesn't have enough to use, and they're only good for 20 minutes anyway, so seems to be a little point. I heard on the news that one economist thinks this could be worse than the 1920s Great Depression, 15 to 20% unemployment. Sure hope he's wrong.
We're on day 2 of the clampdown, and there's a lot of confusion about whether we should clamp down at all or whether we should actually just let the virus take its course and we can get back to business and not ruin the economy. This gentleman seems to have just changed his mind. Originally he is reported as saying that 2 million in the USA were going to die and 500,000 in England were going to die, and now in this report, this is just yesterday in actual fact, and this is the British Parliament, he is saying that the number is at 20,000 now, and it's actually quite manageable for the whole of UK to manage that number of deaths. So it sort of changes the whole picture from doom and gloom to pretty much business as usual. You know, the question is, should we even be doing this clampdown? Should we just get on with life and let the virus take its course?
It's the 3rd day of the lockdown. Tonight we've got a plant-based conference planned. We have a lecture, we're going to get into chat rooms, we're going to talk to each other, eat meals together, compare recipes, and learn some stuff.
The key thing that we all know that's really affected us is coronavirus and how it's impacted us.
It's about optimising our health and enjoying the food. You know, I never had a massive interest in food, but now, you know, I really enjoy and I really think about what I eat.
And this is day 4 of the lockdown.
Come on. Nearly home.
Turning 60 isn't so bad.
Even though one's undercarriage can look a little sad, freedom from nappies and kids is so grand.
And sleeping in and crumbs in the bed is a great new plan.
But decades of eating does bring a toll.
So bike rides and jogging is your new goal. So enjoy the last of the 50s, because here's the rub.
As now with Corona, your 60s cruise will be in the tub.
And happy 60th.
Ow!
Jeez.
There's people in a local park chatting. I hope they're all in the same bubble. Just got back from a 5k run. Day 7 of the lockdown. Not a lot of people out, past a few. Got within 2 metres a couple of times, but sort of whizzed past the people. I don't think we were in danger of swapping any germs or anything. Anyway, now I'm for a shower. Bye.
Before the lockdown, I was part of a choir. They practiced in the school gym across the road. I don't think we sounded too bad. But once in lockdown, we initially tried to sing together online, but with the sound delays, it proved to be impossible. It turned out to be more of a support group.
My boss sent me to ED to get tested. Unfortunately, test result came back negative, and I'm back to work after a few days isolation. My colleagues, every time they see me coughing, they get anxious.
The fatality rate for COVID-19 is very age-dependent, rising to 8% or 1 in 12 among the over 80s. A vaccine could save millions of lives globally. Public Health England scientists are talking down in nature.
By the second week, we have settled into a new shopping regime of queuing 2 metres apart and masked. Well, most of us. Day 10, a steady stream of concerned citizens queue for their free PCR tests.
2 metres, okay.
Our visits to family are always outside, and sometimes involve some creative exercise.
Keep going. What is this, day 11? I'll go lockdown.
Hey, you gotta put your hand on the ground, jump like a frog.
Start jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sprint.
Hey, you're going, Grant. How was it?
Half expecting COVID to rain down terror across our community, our local Facebook administrators group decided to do something proactive, to reach out and find the people who need help.
Half the people I called were actually out, so which is curious, because where'd they go when the lockdown, I don't know. Maybe they're all shopping. The people seem to have forgotten they put their name down a couple of weeks ago, and they sort of had to explain to them.
The one useful question for me was, do you know other people who are helping other people? I thought overall that the calling is really useful.
Here's another empty bus. It's day 17 of lockdown, 11 days to go. Easter Saturday morning.
Meanwhile, back at the local liquor store, crowds queued, knowing exactly what they were going to do to pass the time. Just as well, alcohol was deemed to be an essential food.
We have had a sad and sobering reminder of the need to stay the course today. With 4 more deaths from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, our deadliest day to date.
Hello.
Before lockdown, I was part of a men's group that met from time to time. Lockdown drove us online.
Can't undo it. Can you your microphone, bottom left-hand corner, unclick it? How are you going?
Yeah, good.
Yes, the last time we met was at the funeral, wasn't it? A month ago. You're very fortunate because it was only a couple of days after that the lockdown started.
They went from 500 gatherings, and then the next day after the funeral it went to 100.
Yes, exactly.
A couple of days it went to 10.
Yeah. as I said, a very good funeral. Anyway, it sounds like we're going to get out of this lockdown next week. I think there's a very good chance for next Thursday.
Yeah.
Wearing a mask or face covering is mandatory on all public transport in Auckland, including our ferry services. Please wear your face covering prior to boarding and keep it on throughout the journey. Please track your journey using the QR codes located on our vessels and ticket offices. And practice good hand hygiene using sanitizer stations on wharf.
But I think, we'll look back in 6 months' time and we'll realise that New Zealand is probably the best country in the world coming out of this. This is going to change the way we do business. 50-50 home and work is going to become the norm, I think.
Good idea.
On the right-hand side, you get a great view of ports of Auckland.
One of our group members worked for the port. The close down affected their ship movements too.
New Zealand's biggest port.
There's a quarantine period, 14 days, so...
We say it must be at least 14 days, otherwise we don't allow them into the port to the hour. Let's say 14 days.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do they go, sail around in circles for a couple of days and then come down or something?
No, the slow steaming to get there.
I've got two children in the medical industry. One's a nurse and the other one works for Auckland Hospital Board. So they were still working full time. So they'll be okay. I've got one who works for CV, waiting for the sports to start again. Well, that could be a while.
Kerry's just picked up a hodl of work kits for children. There's a parent picking up a kit for a kid.
These are new times and everyone's looking for new ways to promote their business here because it's never been done before.
It doesn't say to me that you can pay online, but just in the olden days, you can give a credit card number over the phone and then they'll debit it later. It can still be done, can't it? They all seem to have Facebook pages. I'll see if I can put together a list of the businesses, and then I'll do an email. Looks like I got myself a job, and then we'll get back from them what they're intended to do.
Yeah.
And that will give us an idea of what to do next. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Day 22 of the lockdown. School's empty because of the burglar alarm. Constant problem. This is day 25. 3 days to go in the lockdown.
Right, okay.
The motorway's pretty empty. What is today? Sunday with day 25. Pretty empty. Well, it's stage 4 lockdown, day 28. And yet we have workmen working now. The Prime Minister said people can get ready for stage 3, which is next Tuesday. Almost a week away, but looks like someone's interpreted it a little bit more liberally. Bit of excitement. Oh no. Local cafe getting ready for the opening up next week. Looks like they left something going and got the fire brigade out.
As our dawn service approaches at 6 a.m, what we're asking you to do, and please, only if you can do it within the lockdown rules, is to stand at your letterbox. Wherever you are in the world, we invite you to stand with us and take a moment to remember our fallen, but please make sure you stay within your bubble.
First one, the windmills.
And this was your concert before COVID.
This is the creative people.
And this is where I finish my park run on Saturday mornings, pre-COVID that is. And this is where I sometimes rest. Beautiful clouds. Yes. Very good. Happy COVID-19 lockdown.
What can I help you today?
Yeah, I'm just ringing up. Just want to discuss whether I qualify to get a COVID-19 test or not. Run tonight, I might stop halfway through because of extreme shortness of breath. In fact, I thought I was going to pass out. Just wondering whether that could be a sign of something or... I'll do that tomorrow and... Thank you. G'day, okay, I'm here for a COVID test.
Okay, it is behind the building, the back of the building. You'll need
around.
to drive, use your car.
Can I go to the toilet?
Yeah, sure, go, just go on through. Do you have a mask?
No.
No, do that one.
Why not? Right, out into the surgery. Sorry?
Do you have any symptoms today?
Today, a bit of a drippy nose, I suppose.
It sounds like some change in season symptoms there, but we'll still test you today.
It's just going to go pretty much far back into your nose, stay there for 10 seconds.
I may end up sneezing. I hope that doesn't work.
So I just need your head resting on the headrest, yep, and looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
Perfect, so just looking that way?
Sorry.
Perfect. It's okay. Okay, just bear with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome, and sneeze.
Yeah.
So a couple of days for results, okay?
Okay, and I'll get a text if it's clear.
Yes.
For the latest information, follow New Zealand Transport Agency on Twitter and Facebook. Keep calm, New Zealand. Please stay strong, stay home, and be kind.
This time my symptoms were nothing, no COVID. Looks like I'll live to see another day. We were nearly 2 months into lockdown. Masks were starting to disappear. But the 2-metre rule was religiously adhered to, almost as a statement of faith in the all-knowing and trusting government. Out there, people are starting to die. Fear is still the rule. By now we had adopted a new norm, queuing and waiting for hours to do something that previously would have taken minutes. But we didn't care. We were saving lives. We visited malls but didn't sit on taped off seats. We knew that would be dangerous. Who knows who had been sitting there? However, once we got hungry, we shared meals with unmasked friends, and didn't for a minute consider that ironic. We were told to keep to our bubbles, which we did, but we still had to talk to shopkeepers and interact with colleagues. That seemed fair. But the 2-metre rule was the 11th commandment, never to be broken. However, it was later revealed there was no scientific basis for this rule at all. And yes, the masks also were later considered useless. The COVID virus, it appears, is a lot nimbler than we thought. All of this shows how easy it is to control a society.
I'm allowed to talk to you.
All you need to do is to get recognised experts to make plausible statements backed up by leading politicians, and hey presto, you have a compliant nation, who then at the next election line up at polling booths to thank you.
May. Wash your hands with soap for 20 seconds, then dry.
Cough or sneeze into your elbow. If you're sick or have symptoms, stay home.
54 days since the initial lockdown. First Monday of level 2. It's the day that schools are open.
Today there are no active cases in New Zealand. Google tracking showed that during our lockdown, New Zealanders massively reduced their movements by 91% to retail and recreation. Better than Australia, the UK, the United States. It's been 40 days since the last case of community transmission. And so today, I can announce that Cabinet has agreed we will now move to level 1.
And so at this point in time, though, our advice stands: we don't recommend or require masks.
At this time, we settled into a world of lip service to COVID prevention, while continuing our lives pretty much as normal. It looked like we missed the bullet by becoming a hermit kingdom and hiding away in the Southern Ocean. During 2020, we had next to no rise in excess deaths. New Zealand's all-cause mortality data confirms this. All-cause mortality stayed pretty much the same over the first year of lockdown. Despite the normal ups and downs, overall it's flat, perhaps a slight rise. There's no need for concern here. However, this pre-vaccine flat line becomes important later on. Then, much to our surprise, with more COVID cases, lockdown levels start to climb again.
Today is Thursday, the 13th of August. This is the first full day of the second stage 3 lockdown.
Maybe we were getting too slack, but soon Auckland was back to level 3. No more pools, libraries or playgrounds, or our local farmers market.
This is Saturday, the 29th of August, second to last day of the stage 3 of our second lockdown.
3 weeks later, we were over it, with wholesale disregard of our exclusive bubbles. The still intact 2-metre rule was well and truly gone, but local restaurants stayed closed. So is this the end of the story? Not by a long shot, and for me, it was only just getting started. The date was the 23rd of September 2020. Auckland had just moved to lockdown level 2. I was out on my usual midweek run, and then this happened. I tripped and fell, and gave myself a cardiac arrest. It was serious. So here I was in Auckland's intensive care unit. My wife and 1 child were the only ones permitted to enter. Officialdom was afraid too many would bring in COVID. Most of my 5 children and families were shut out. What followed was a day of intubated unconsciousness. How did we get to this point, where the immediate families weren't allowed to say goodbye to their dad? And then they woke me up, but I still lacked any short-term memory.
Hello, Dad. Hey, Dad, you're alive. You're all good?
3 days later, they moved me to North Shore Hospital. And for this, my family took the opportunity to just happen to be in the patient transfer bay.
Hey, Dad, love you so much.
I have no recollection of this at all.
Hey, Dad, you love you, Dad, love you.
While I waited in hospital for a defibrillator implant to kickstart my heart if I again hit the ground hard, the Labour Party swept back into power with an unheard of huge majority.
New Zealand has shown the Labour Party its greatest support in at least 50 years.
This marked the king tide of their reign. The party who could do no wrong saved us from a terror worse than death.
We have seen that support in urban areas.
Or so we thought.
We needed an ongoing health response to the global pandemic to keep people safe, so that is what we've done. And we will build back better from the COVID crisis.
Okay, there's Grant out walking outside with his orthotic. You can hear him going down the corridor, flop, 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 flop.
Meanwhile, my running accident had gained me some notoriety. And my month-long stay in hospital earned me a special farewell from all of the ward staff. Then 3 months later, while I was recuperating at home on the 3rd of February 2021, it all changed. The government announced the vaccination program.
Yesterday, Cabinet confirmed formal government approval to use the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine.
That means we should be in a position, all things going to plan, to start vaccinating our border workers from next Saturday, the 20th of February.
Recently, a Taranaki relative sent me some very interesting data. It was gained from an Official Information Act request. It pertains to elderly deaths following Pfizer vaccinations. From late May to June, rest home residents and plus 60-year-olds were lined up and injected with the Pfizer vaccine. Surprisingly, at the same time, the number of 60-plus injected deaths quickly shot up, peaking at 447 deaths in June, followed by a second peak in August when the dosing also peaked. The second peak is lower, as there were probably now fewer vulnerable elderly alive. Also note that all of these 60-plus first-dosed all-cause deaths didn't make it to their second dose, due 3 weeks later. Why would that be? And what about COVID? At this point, there were just 25 COVID deaths. So this surge of 2,400 elderly all-cause deaths during Pfizer's first dosing period were not due to COVID.
Our vaccine rollout is ahead of schedule, apparently. More than 172,000 people have received their first dose of the vaccine. That's up nearly 32,000 in just a week. The number of people who have had 2 doses has ticked over the 60,000 mark. They are regarded as fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
To get some personal stories from those who didn't respond well to the vaccine, I turned to an old neighbourhood friend of mine who started collecting testimonies from dozens and then hundreds of vaccine injured. Stories that have been largely ignored by the government and main source media.
I am 65 years old. I have had only 1 dose of the Pfizer vaccine on May the 28th, 2021. 10 days later, I was emergency evacuated with an extreme neurological incident where I lost my memory and my blood pressure was 200/120. I have ongoing multi-systemic central nervous system and neurological issues, which include extensive body pain and inflammation, migraine headaches, post-exertional malaise, brain fog, shakiness and vertigo, and erratic blood pressure, plus a reactivation of old viruses which were long gone. I have ongoing PTSD-type symptoms, shakiness, vertigo, I feel like I'm drunk all the time, I have headaches, body pain, ongoing central nervous system disturbances, and I can only walk a couple of 100 metres on a good day. I thought I would be looked after by this government, but I haven't even been acknowledged my injuries. It's cost me thousands of dollars to self-care over the last couple of years.
This is Saturday the 25th of September. We're in level 3 lockdown. These cars here are queued up because up there is McDonald's.
Keep calm, New Zealand. Stay strong, stay home, and be kind.
I had 2 Pfizer shots. That was on the 10th of August 21 and the 16th of September 21. My life changed on the 17th of September 21. I ended up with heart palpitations, breathlessness. I couldn't move up and down my driveway. I had chronic fatigue. I couldn't get out of my seat to even go for a walk with my wife, and I'm a 6-day-a-week gym bunny. I've been in and out of hospital over the last 2 years with repeated infections, so kidneys, prostate, lungs, eye infections. I had my blood tests done, and my bloods came back with 11 times the amount of spike protein antibody in my system.
Go this way. Whoops. Should have been shot. We're off to a birthday party, well, of sorts. Or a sort of shout outside the house. How's it going, Grandma?
I'm just hoping that none of the balloons will pop before we get there, because there's only 5 balloons.
5 one for each year. Okay, special party. Here we go.
Okay, now we'll sing it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
Meanwhile, the local Sunday strollers ignore their level 3 bubbles, yet stand by for more education from our beloved leaders.
We know from experience overseas that COVID-19 is becoming a disease of the unvaccinated.
Delta is literally bypassing vaccinated people and latching on to the unvaccinated. We had an individual who was unvaccinated and not one of their family members who were vaccinated got COVID. Only 3% of cases in this outbreak had been vaccinated.
The only problem with this announcement is that it doesn't really hold water. The next day, the New England Journal of Medicine published a paper revealing just a 20% effectiveness, or a possible 80% vaccine breakthrough 5 to 7 months after full vaccination. Also today, we now know the vaccinated are just as likely to catch and spread COVID. Over the past year, a mood change had swept over our society. Previously, we were all on board with lockdowns to save lives. But for months now, vaccinations were being pushed hard, very, very hard. When out enjoying the sun one day, a complete stranger came up to me and pleaded with me to get vaccinated. She was agitated and very concerned. I watched as she then went from group to group, repeating her plea. What had changed to cause such behaviour? As the government ramped up its vaccination numbers, there's another statistic that seems to be rising too. Over the last 6 months, all-cause mortality has been steadily increasing. And then there's this curious big bump in July and August. What could that be? Before COVID, New Zealand's youth was vibrant, demonstrated here at a recent climate change protest. But how did the health of youth and young adults change following lockdown and vaccination rollout? A recent Official Information Act request reveals information on young people from birth to 39 years of age. The first question asked about hospital emergency arrivals. A projection from before vaccinations began in 2021 until the end of 2024, we're looking at a massive 500% plus increase in hospital emergency arrivals. Even to the end of 2023, we had an incredible 350% increase. Something is definitely wrong here. It should be all over the newspapers, but it isn't. Why is that? The next question asked about acute pericarditis hospital discharges. Pericarditis is inflammation of the sac surrounding the heart. From just before vaccinations began to mid-2023, there's been a significant 38% increase. Then finally, they were asked about acute myocarditis hospital discharges. Myocarditis is inflammation of the heart muscle itself. From the year before vaccinations began to mid-2024, there's been a huge 300% increase. While the actual numbers are low, even if it was just 100% increase, it should have been of great concern to medical officials. Myocarditis and pericarditis are known side effects of the COVID vaccines. Also, a recent scientific study of more than 1.5 million children, in which 49% weren't COVID vaccinated, concluded that of the children who got myocarditis or pericarditis, 100% were vaccinated. None were not vaccinated.
On the 21st of May 2021, I was mandated into the Pfizer vaccine while serving as drum major in the New Zealand Army Band. I only had the one dose and I've had 2 strokes, been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. I live in constant pain. I'm still awaiting a heart operation. My lungs are buggered. I've gone from being one of the fittest in an army unit and healthiest for 16 years running to being told by neurologists and cardiologists that I'm not to do any exercise or anything that overexerts myself. Obviously lost my job, declined from ACC by ACC. That battle's ongoing. To lose $90,000 out of a family budget and nobody willing to step in to fill that gap because they just don't want to believe it. My army doctor lost his job for acknowledging jab injuries, and 2 doctors that I'm currently seeing under investigation by the Medical Council of New Zealand just for trying to save us, for trying to help us. We live in a dark place now, dark, lonely place. Gaslit by the government, ignored by the media, and quite frankly, going to emergency departments and hospitals, as I've had to a number of times, pretty much just get mocked.
For me, it all changed on the 11th of October 2021. That's the day that our Prime Minister went back on her word not to mandate vaccines. My texted plea to my Member of Parliament friend for the government to urgently reconsider was ignored. It was also the day my wife was forced to decide whether to abandon her career or not. As well, I believe that was the day Labour went from landslide victory to punishing defeat in the next election.
This week there are 2 things we're going to do to drive those vaccination rates up. The first is Super Saturday, where across the country we'll be pulling out the stops to increase vaccination rates. The second thing we are doing to strengthen our response is to make vaccination mandatory for large numbers of our health and our education workforces. This is a decision that has been made by Cabinet today. The reason we are stepping up our vaccination requirements is because Delta is a different and more difficult opponent.
This ultimatum gave my wife and I great cause for thought. Should we give in and stay in sync with our family? I came very close to deciding to do this, but then drew back. They did say it's a novel experimental product, and I'd already concluded that the drug companies couldn't be trusted when it came to child vaccines. So we decided no and put our stake in the ground.
Cabinet's agreed that high-risk workers in the health and disability sector will need to be fully vaccinated by the 1st of December. They'll need to receive their first dose by the 30th of October. This includes general practitioners, pharmacists, community health nurses, midwives, paramedics, and all healthcare workers in sites where vulnerable patients are treated, including intensive care units.
In other high-risk settings, like for instance large-scale events or potentially hospitality, that's where we're looking to use things like vaccine certificates as a way to ensure that only vaccinated people are engaging with one another.
About this time, vaccine passes were introduced. You needed them to gain access to restaurants or get a haircut. Sharon had no choice but to grow her hair long, a fashion statement she continues today. Soon my wife and I were rejected from various groups because we lacked vaccine purity. Sharon could no longer attend her Pilates group. And I was suddenly barred from my choir. They continued practicing with masks still on, but I wouldn't have tolerated that.
So much space in there. I mean, the heat will come out. So a normal surgical mask is quite flat, whereas the singer's mask just sits quite nicely on your face.
Sharon was then excluded from a conservation volunteer group, which she really enjoyed. But rules are rules, and out she went. I was also excluded from park runs. Other social activities became awkward as well. It was a strange sensation being considered unclean. As far as we were concerned, they were the unclean, not us. Who knows what those vaccines were doing to them.
In November 2021, I had my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. About 2 days later, I became very sick. Yeah, really sick. Started getting heart issues, memory loss, fatigue, brain fog, vertigo. I was self-employed at the time, running a dairy farm, and I was unable to work, lost my contract. Tried to get help from the doctors, from ACC, that they covered me for a rash, nothing else. And yeah, 3 years on, I'm still not 100%. Try my best, but still fighting ACC, still fighting. I was not happy with what it did to me and what it did to other people. And yeah, people need to be held accountable.
There is a hard line boundary in the sand in terms of dates, and that's the 15th of November for your first vaccination. So if you're not vaccinated for your first vaccination by the 15th of November, I am legally required to stand you down.
Yes.
Because you are a valued team member, Sharon, and we don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose a good nurse.
Yeah.
But I also need to be very aware that according to that mandate, we have a requirement legally of what we have to do.
I have agonised over this situation.
Okay, that if you turn around and you decide you want to be vaccinated on the 15th or beforehand, then that's applicable to you too.
Okay, and I own this decision.
It was as if they were sitting in a lifeboat and Sharon was about to drown in the water. They pled with her to save herself and get in. But Sharon was determined to take her chances and risk drowning.
I do not feel comfortable having this vaccine, and I'm really, really sad that it's mandated for nurses that they can't work. You've definitely had our backs, and mine in particular, and I will never forget what you understanding you had for me when Grant was sick in hospital, so things like that, they mean a lot. They mean a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sharon, right back at you, okay?
Auckland hit 90% first dose and 80% second dose over the weekend, and is now a matter of weeks away from 90% double dose. Medsafe has today approved a booster dose of the Pfizer vaccine. In this lockdown though, Delta has tested us like never before. But we are very close to getting back to doing the things we love, like seeing friends or family, or taking the kids to the movies. 2021 has been a long year, but we are now in a sprint to make summer the break it can and needs to be, So I encourage again anyone across those DHBs who have not had their first dose to support their local communities by doing so.
I was upset. No, I was very upset. I was angry. I was angry enough to join a local protest outside Waitakere Hospital on behalf of all mandated medical workers. It was just one of dozens of similar protests around New Zealand. And for what? It's as if some great power had taken control and nothing was going to stop it. It's a year since vaccination rollout. Time to take stock. Remember that July, August 60 plus all-cause deaths big bump? Well, here it is. On closer look, there's something disturbing here. Something that's more than just coincidence. Let's overlay the 60 plus vaccinations. They look surprisingly similar, rising and peaking in sync. But there's more. What if we advance the vaccinations by a week? Bingo! Look at that. The troughs and the peaks exactly synchronise. If frail 60 plus elderly were dying a week after vaccination, this is what it would look like. So what might have caused this? Well, on the 19th of July, a huge vaccine shipment arrived and was rushed to clinics. Note the surge in deaths straight after this. Then a month later, on the 18th and 19th of August, all vaccinations stopped for 48 hours due to a nationwide level 4 lockdown. This can be clearly seen here, with the stop lining up exactly with a sudden drop-off in deaths. Then dosing resumed with another sudden peak. And maybe the most curious bump is this one down here, the 16th of October Super Saturday. A last gasp vaccine push to get the remaining few who had been holding out.
I had 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, the first one being on November the 15th when I was mandated to have my first dose. As a nurse, if not, I had to leave my employment. The second dose I had on December the 6th. And at the time that was being administered, I suffered severe pain to my chest. I became flushed. I had shoulder blade pain. I actually believed and thought I was going to have a heart attack, if not have a stroke. I was diagnosed with bilateral pulmonary emboli, which is numerous blood clots to both of my lungs. I was also terminated out of my job. The reason given was because I had a COVID-19 vaccine injury. I rely and live off a sickness benefit at the moment, which of course doesn't meet a great deal of financial need.
So we can just determine where to from here with our conversations.
Right. Well, I still am not going to get vaccinated, so yeah.
Okay. So Sharon, you're aware that under the public health order, we're required to continue to stand you down until you've either received a first vaccination or you're fully vaccinated by the 1st of January.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Understand that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for us, that's really...
At this point, the interview was interrupted by a very agitated woman calling out from the back door. Sharon sent me to find out what was happening.
Someone come to our door. I don't know who it is, but...
The woman wanted me to go with her to check out the house next door for her friend,
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to go and stop and pause and have a look?
who she hadn't heard from for days. The lady was clearly very worried.
No, Grant can deal with it.
I suggested she go inside herself as the back door was open, or for her to come back in 15 minutes and I could go with her then. I just didn't get it.
Oh. I don't know what it's about. Never mind, he's going to come back. Yep, no, off you go.
So we are at a point where, unfortunately, we need to talk about giving you a notice period of vaccination.
A few minutes later, the woman returned, crying and saying, "I'm sorry, this is a real emergency," and telling me her friend was in the garage. I still didn't get it, but went with her to have a look. And then it became all too clear.
If Sharon's made up her mind,
can we call me off?
She's not going to change it.
Hang on. We have an emergency situation here. Our neighbour has killed herself in the garage.
So we have to come back.
Oh my goodness.
Stopping this right
now. Yeah.
Sharon,
You go.
yeah, you go.
We've got to go and see if she's alive. Come on.
And it's not something we're going to do.
Yeah. I've got to go and check if she's alive.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get back. Okay.
Okay, go. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Sorry. Shoot. Okay, Christine.
Yeah.
Let's. Christine, let's go. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
I had a strong premonition that something wasn't right with our neighbour a night or two before. Never previously had I a strong feeling of dread wash over me like that. We will never know what caused our neighbour to take her own life. But I'm sure the lockdowns had something to do with it. Our neighbour had asked us to be in her bubble, as she was lonely, living by herself. All her supports before the lockdown had stopped. She also shared with us that the COVID vaccines were affecting her badly and that her doctors couldn't help. Looking back, we wish we'd done more, but we had no idea. She'd given us some of her plants. I think she was saying goodbye. St John Ambulance keeps records of call-out numbers. Looking at trends since the lockdowns is very concerning. This graph shows the rise in call-outs for chest pain and breathing problems since the lockdowns and vaccination program began. Chest pain issues have risen 36% since lockdown, and breathing problems 34% since vaccinations began. This graph shows call-outs for mental health, health problems and strokes. In 2021, mental health problems rose 30% in just 1 year. That was the year in which the first and second vaccine shots were given. It was also the year in which our neighbour took her own life. Strokes have risen a startling 61% since lockdowns began. It's a straight line, going straight up. Heart problems have risen near half again, 48%, peaking in 2022, a peak that the next graph gives more light to. This third St John's graph shows headaches and pregnancy and birth call-outs. Headaches have increased 29% since lockdown, by nearly a third. And maybe the most concerning flag is this 10% increase in pregnancy and childbirth issues. Note the peaks in both headaches and pregnancy and birthing issues happened in 2022. the same year as the peak in the previous heart problems graph. 2022 was the year of the first and second boosters.
Sharon is an incredibly good nurse that we are devastated to be having to go through this process with. Sharon, you clarified that you don't want to be vaccinated, and that hasn't changed since our first consultation meetings. We don't want to lose you or any other good nurse, but we must meet the mandated public health order. Our view is that we've got the work there, which, because of your vaccination status, you're not able to do. So at this point, our position has remained the same, that our notice period is unpaid. And I have to say the change of mandate has made this process much more challenging and more difficult and more anxiety-ridden for absolutely every party. But if something changed and there was a choice to vaccinate, that we just want Sharon to always be aware that the job is there. Yeah, we're all stuck between the same rock and a hard place, really. To make sure
So you're going to be fired now,
and
not
if
resigning.
anything changes, it's going to be an exiting process for you. How do you want to manage it? What do you want to do?
You can't have a farewell party because you're not allowed to attend it.
Well, is it? I'll just individually ring people that I work with, I think.
If something changes for you and there's a vaccination in the future and you want to undertake it and there's a role going, this termination is completely without prejudice.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you all. It's good that we finally got back together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
For some reason I thought they were going to fire you on the 1st of January, but no, they will fire you today. Today you will be fired. You'll be given a month's notice today. You'll get a letter.
Oh, I've only got NB.
Oh, great.
Okay, what
I think
was
it's
your last name?
I think it's NBK, but what is
Last
it?
name?
Dixon.
I'll just get you to move up with me. And your first name?
Grant.
And Dixon for your first name.
No, first name's Grant.
No, your last name. Sorry, is that with an X or a C?
Dixon.
Oh, there we go.
I'll just get you to look straight ahead for me, please.
Sure.
Nice, doing very well. Almost there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming out. Nice. All done. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, bye. We dodged the bullet. Yet again.
I had my vaccine shots in October of 2021. My whole world got turned upside down after that. By December, I was in and out of hospital. I was in excruciating pain. I went through so many specialist appointments. I literally was bedridden. My children have found me passed out on the floor with blue lips, which has been really, really scary for them. I have been diagnosed with tachycardia. I also have been on so many different medications. I've even had to have morphine at home so that when the pain gets so bad, I have to take morphine. I have just recently been diagnosed with dysautonomia, and it's just been devastating for my life. I'm 41 years old and I wish that I never had the vaccine because it has destroyed my life.
It's now the end of 2021 and the second dosing of the COVID vaccine has also ended. How's it gone? By now, the mountain of 60 plus all-cause deaths had tripled, peaking at more than 1,800 deaths for the month. It's also interesting to note that this peak followed the second dose by some 4 months. Again, the sudden surge in all-cause deaths a few months after the second shot is too much of a coincidence to ignore. Despite the fact that many of my friends and the left-leaning press hate Bishop Brian Tamaki, I actually have respect for him,
Hear what is going on in the courtroom.
as he's a person who stands up for what he believes.
every single one that goes past, I am going to ask, do you have our man in there?
While I disagree with a number of his beliefs on the topic of COVID mandates and vaccinations, I think he got it right.
You might think he broke the law, but that's a law that was done.
So in January 2022, I headed off to Auckland's Mount Eden prison to join the Destiny Church protesters.
What are we standing here for?
My future, my family.
Look, yep, that's right. I think I'm going to take it one step further. We're standing against corruptness.
Bishop Tamaki had been remanded in custody for 10 days for breaching his bail conditions by attending an anti-lockdown rally.
Losing our jobs over mandates. Corrupt political systems.
His parishioners decided to spend the time in prison with him, camped outside in the streets. The continual persecution of an ethnic community by government and the press should be a warning to us all. On the way home, I stumbled upon yet another protest, completely separate from the Tamaki one. This one seemed to be aimed at the Governor-General and was protesting the closing down of churches. I was aware of other pop-up protests around Auckland too. One protesting the vaccine injured being denied ACC compensation, and another one seemingly protesting against just about everything. Judging from the chants and placards, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern had become the focus of discontent. It didn't take long. From the 11th of October 2021 mandate announcement to the 22nd January 2022, one of a series of huge protest marches. It had been just 3 months. Not long for this worm to turn.
And they say they care about Māori outcomes, but that's a lie.
These marches across the country were often ignored by the press. I guess they were just happening too often. Prior to the mandate announcement, Jacinda had been riding high. The saviour of our country from a much-feared disease. But then the truth began to settle.
Numbers don't lie.
As well, we were hearing rumours that the vaccines didn't work. In fact, they may be even hurting people. On good authority, we heard that some had even died. But the safe and effective mantra continued, unabated. Jacinda's minders couldn't believe there was such a sudden change in public mood, so they ignored it. How could landslide Jacinda have lost her public confidence? Not possible. Despite the repeated protests, the main source media failed to give even more than just passing comment, if any at all. Such as for this protest, thousands on the street, and yet not even a mention in any main source media. If the government was listening, they would have foreseen what was about to happen next. Following the Canadian truckers' anti-mandate convoy, Kiwi protesters decided to organise their own. Cars and trucks converged on Parliament from both ends of the country. They didn't know it then, but this was going to turn out to be a very significant protest.
For the last 2 years,
New Zealanders have been told to be kind? What kind of leader thinks it is okay to encourage bullying in two classes of society? And it's about people who have been forced and coerced into a medical procedure just to keep their job, to pay the bills and feed their families.
Those of you who don't have that jab pass can't go into a hairdresser, a cinema, a theater, a cafe, a restaurant, a gym or a pool. Is this the kind of society these people want for us?
They changed the law in 24 hours of the judge's decision. Our words like safe and effective, that they give their meanings. That is not democracy, and we have had enough.
Listening to the speakers on the first day, you can feel the anger, the frustration, the shock of being betrayed. I've never seen New Zealanders react like this. And then, not one MP came out to talk to them. Not one. I've never seen such a closed-door response by MPs to protesters. Something was very, very wrong here.
A parade of protesters.
2 weeks later, a huge protest banner unfurling from the side of Auckland Harbour Bridge hardly gained a mention in the media. And then followed this 3-week long protest at Parliament in Wellington, which I closely watched unfold on TV. As I viewed the protesters trying to defend their strongly held views, I asked myself, what's the point of all this? I concluded that democracy must let people believe and share contrary views, no matter how repugnant they may seem. We must listen and discuss and agree to disagree. But outright rejection has never worked and will never work.
That's what they want, don't throw shit.
This exchange of views may also result in realising that I've backed the wrong horse. That strongly held official views are in fact wrong. Maybe tragically wrong. If you reach this point, then humility is needed to say sorry and ask, what can I do now to help?
This is what they're abusing us for, our freedom.
We will not allow our children to be in harm's way and in danger. Keep your head.
Fear of vaccine injury was certainly driving the rage. About now, the results of the first booster were in. How are they doing? The February 2022 60-plus boosted were in for a shock, with a peak of some 2,700 all-cause deaths in July alone. This strange coincidence of a rush of elderly deaths occurring 5 months after the booster is very hard to ignore. Nevertheless, there's not a word from officialdom. Also, notice here, this speaker lines up with the next booster shot, probably due to deaths recorded within 2 weeks of the second booster being incorrectly credited to the first booster.
Extraction tube. 1 minute.
And a 1 and a 2
A minute.
and a,
Okay, that's a minute. Withdraw the swab from the extraction tube. Gently squeeze it into tube to place 4 drops of the 4 drops. Set a timer, wait 15 minutes. No, it's only one line. I'm not COVID positive.
It's only one line, you're not COVID positive. You've just got a cold.
Yeah, I really feel I just got a cold.
I
have a child who has a condition that puts him in the at-risk group. I got the jab because I was told by our government that we needed to protect the vulnerable. So I took one jab only. I had a range of symptoms that started from arm pain that included a spasming muscle at the injection site. The pain transferred over into my chest and then progressed up my neck and into my jaw. I still get chest pain. I've had an abnormal ECG and I've had severe menstrual symptoms, including post-menstruation for 3 months, extreme pain, excruciating pain.
Well, here's my positive COVID test. At long last, after 2.5 years, I finally got done, so to speak. And my wife also was tested positive yesterday as well. I can see there the gargle that I've been taking, and as well as a lot of vitamins. A little bit under the weather at the moment. I go through hot and cold times. And sometimes I actually feel quite normal, no problem at all. And then I get cold again. Anyway, this is day 2, maybe day 3, I think, of COVID. So we'll see how far we go. Right. As before, the usual 5 month later 60 plus all-cause death peak. This month's peak is 1,030 deaths. However, this graph also has a curious second all-cause death peak in April 2023. The second peak is a huge 1,154 deaths. Again, you'll notice the second peak lines up with the next booster shot. As before, this probably reflects third boosted being counted as second boosted due to them dying within 2 weeks of their shots.
I am COVID vaccine bereaved. My wife, Tracy, had one Pfizer vaccine on the 27th of August 2021 at 11 o'clock in the morning. That night, Tracy began to have blurred vision, and within 3 days had full-blown double vision and was too unbalanced to walk. I took Tracy to hospital and she was admitted to the high dependency unit where she spent 3 nights, then came home. While Tracy was in there, she was diagnosed with, and I quote, a bilateral abducens nerve palsy likely secondary to COVID-19 vaccine. Also showed microhemorrhages in her brain. By the following Wednesday, I couldn't wake Tracy up. An ambulance was sent out and Tracy spent the next 7 days in hospital. Over the following 18 months, Tracy struggled with her condition and general mobility and was never able to drive or work again or do what she enjoyed most, which was attending her flowers and vegetable gardens. We lodged a treatment injury claim with ACC, but they denied any connection to the vaccine as far as the brain bleeds were concerned. But although they conceded the abducens nerve palsy was attributed to the vaccine, they classed it as a symptom and not an injury. Tracy's condition gradually worsened, and sadly she passed away on the 28th of March 2023, 41 days after her 50th birthday and 15 days after our 30th wedding anniversary.
We're now well into the COVID booster program, and public interest is certainly waning, and coincidentally, there are now fewer all-cause deaths. Note again the peak in 60 plus third boosted all-cause deaths 5 months after their shots, with some 800 deaths for the September month, while not vaccinated deaths continue to remain steady month to month, even lowering a little. These flat, non-vaccinated deaths are the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, the placebo, if you will. They largely stay level while the vaccinated deaths ride up and down in sync with the vaccine shots. More on this in a moment.
I have had 3 vaccine injuries since my second vaccination, and 1 more is pending. I had the second vaccination on the 27th of September, and a few weeks later I had an inflammatory attack on my entire body where I couldn't move. I lost all power in my hands. It was incredibly painful. I was finally seen by a rheumatologist who advised that I had the vaccine had actually brought on what they call inflammatory polyarthropy. This causes my body to attack my good cells and weaken my immune system. In June of 2023, my little family of 3 got the hugest shock of their lives when 2 of us in the same house got cancer, diagnosed with cancer, late-stage cancers, and at exactly a week apart. The only thing we have in common is that the other parent had the same vaccination as me on the same day with the same batch number.
Despite being sick with COVID yet again and not being vaccinated, I think Sharon and I did pretty well. I was in bed for just 1 day, and 2 days later was back out there, biking through our streets. So how have the not vaccinated or non-dosed been doing compared to the dosed? Well, let's take the 12 months before dosing began and compare that with the 12 months after the first dose was bedded in, removing the crossover period. So, for the 12 months from January to December 2020, when nobody was yet dosed, all-cause deaths overall were flat, around 2,300 per month. Also, for the 12 months following the vaccine bedding in, from March 2022 until February 2023, not dosed all-cause deaths continued to be flat, albeit at a much lower level. On the other hand, over the same 12-month period, the dosed all-cause deaths right up and down, following the booster program's surges, with the second booster push occurring at exactly the same time as the big death spike in July 2022. For this 12-month period, 60 plus all-cause deaths rose more than 20%. However, nearly 2,500 of these were claimed COVID deaths. But even when taking them off, we're still left with a 12% excess in 60 plus all-cause deaths for the year.
I myself have lost 5 friends within my own personal sphere. All jabbed, of course.
And that brings us to almost today, and this 2024 Red Remembrance Day in Auckland's Aotea Square. 4 years on, and still the numbers of vaccine injured grow.
Many have been permanently injured and some have died. From the many conversations I have had over the last 3 years, I suspect that this number runs into the tens of thousands, possibly the hundreds of thousands.
So here's New Zealand's first funeral director saying what he is seeing. Over a 12-month period, 95% of the people who came through my doors as a client had been vaccinated and died within 2 weeks.
To this day, I'm still battling with the health system. I'm vaccinated. I took my jabs back in 21. I worked in the health system over 25 years, so I took it for my patients and for my family, and I'm now suffering for it. After my first vaccine, my anxiety kicked off, and then after my second vaccine, I had a stroke and then a heart attack. But I'm grateful to be here.
Today in our community, life has returned to pretty much normal. However, Sharon and I continue to hear of people suddenly getting sick, very sick, or being diagnosed with late-stage cancer and dying soon after. Some are young adults, leaving solo parents behind. So far, few have joined the dots. For a while, I did rejoin the choir and participated in last year's World Choir Games. But it wasn't the same. I was restless and soon dropped out. Sharon didn't for a minute think about returning to her Pilates or conservation group. I guess the hurt runs deep.
Yeah, you're being great. I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
Then late in 2022, Sharon's past employer offered her old job back. They really wanted her, but Sharon had had enough and said no. Another qualified senior nurse left the workforce.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Fortunately, her gardening group continued throughout the lockdowns and vaccinations. She continues to enjoy this group today. In April 2022, 2 weeks after vaccine passes were no longer required, I started park runs again. And in December 2024, I completed my 100th run. Oh, and then something else happened. Last year, I attended the wedding of a close relative. It was a great day of celebration and family festivity. At the wedding, I caught up with my brother, who seemed healthy enough, but was using a walking stick, which I'd never seen before. On asking why, he said he didn't know, but it helped him get around. Shortly after the wedding, he had a specialist appointment and was shocked to learn that he had advanced prostate cancer, which had now spread to his hip and spine. My understanding is that prostate cancer is something you die with, not because of, and it usually grows slowly, but not for my brother. It seemed he had a turbo version of cancer. A few months later, he had an accident, which ended up with him in hospital and a hip operation, which led to a stroke and then pneumonia. It was all too much for him, and he passed away. While my brother was COVID vaccinated, I have no proof his death in any way was connected to the vaccine. However, since then, I've learnt another close relation of mine has been diagnosed with myocarditis. His doctor told him it was caused by the COVID vaccine. This relation is now very angry. Most of us will survive birth and grow up to live full and productive lives, and then will die without experiencing a world war, a devastating volcano, or earthquake. But everyone who has lived the last 5 years could be living through what may turn out to be one of the worst man-made catastrophes. You probably don't realise it, but around the world millions of vaccine recipients have already prematurely died. And in New Zealand, possibly hundreds of thousands have been permanently injured in some way. What we don't know for sure is what is causing this and when it will end. Far too many questions remain unanswered. Our leaders, both here in New Zealand and internationally, now must look into the effects of the COVID vaccines in depth and total honesty.